So the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, right, prohibits discrimination, and a lot of this is the same as employment, right? I mean, we'll notice that these protected classes are pretty much the same, right, on the basis of gender, marital status, race, color, age, religion, national origin, source of income, not just receipt of welfare, but other income. We can't really discriminate based on its source. Penalties, right, can be actual damages, punitive damages, up to a $10,000 fine per incident. Of course, you get your legal fees and those types of things for violations. We were at least once, we had at least one case where we were accused of that and completely exonerated, I would add. So Fair Credit Reporting Act, so what happens there? Well, you know, when you get credit, a credit card, student loan, anything like that, it gets reported to credit reporting agencies. It becomes public information. Okay, at least parts of it do, right? But what happens then? Like, for example, what happens when you're denied credit, insurance, or employment, perhaps due to a bad credit rating? Okay. One thing that happens is you get a copy of your report. You have a right to demand and receive a copy of that. Okay. Investigative consumer report character. These are things, you know, the character that are determined, of course, at least by banks and lenders, insurance, and et cetera, et cetera. This 3 days says, I believe that's, if you ask in writing for clarifications of things on your report, they have 3 days in order to respond. Okay, and that's important to note. Okay, if there's something that you need to dispute, the first most important thing is you need to put it in writing. Okay, and there are reasonable procedures that these credit reporting agencies have to follow. Yeah, there's a big deal. You know, Equifax, one of the major three, had a data breach, and that's going to probably create a lot of concern for a lot of people. I know, according to the site, I was one of them whose data was breached, so hopefully nothing comes of that, but we'll see. So there's consumer rights when you're denied credit, insurance, etc., right? You're told the name of the agency making the report. They can reveal the info, and they have to correct or give the consumer a version of the info. Okay, so you get a right to your credit report, basically, is what that amounts to if you're denied. And you can ask that from the lender or the person who turns you down, whether it be for insurance or anything like that. So they can be, the credit reports can be used for those things. Can be used for, obviously for loans, but also for insurance, car insurance. Okay, they've proven that people with better credit ratings are better risks for insurance companies. One, they're maybe more likely to pay their bill, and two, actually a little less likely to get into car accidents as well. And employment can, in some cases, okay, if it applies to the job, it can be. So the Truth in Lending Act was set up to avoid uninformed use of credit. And again, consumers have a right to do a lot more disclosures than do commercial business organization. Okay, they get a much more thorough disclosure, and they have to be apples to apples. So in the past, you know, banks, finance companies, and those places, they could kind of fudge the numbers a little bit and maybe make something look better than it actually was, or you know, they'd put a fee in and, you know, not really disclose that, and certainly not disclose it as a part of the finance charge or the APR. But they came up with methods that are required then by all lending institutions for actually disclosing those things. So a fee then has to be redisclosed as a part of the APR, and of course calculators will do that for us, or computer programs. But that allows for an apples-to-apples comparison for a person, right? You know, because this can happen. A bank can quote you a 7% interest rate for your loan, but there might be a $25 application fee. Okay, and you get there then to sign the papers for your loan, and you notice that it says, hey, my rate's 8.2, but you said 7%. What it's doing is taking that $25 then and calculating that back into the APR and giving you a disclosure. So in that case, the banker isn't really lying to you, but just not telling you what the impact of that fee is until the disclosure. You know, at the disclosure time, of course, you get that. So it allows you to compare that then in an apples-to-apples basis. Of course, there can be civil and criminal penalties, most often civil in those cases, unless there's some absurd misuse of that. So, again, the Simplification Act of 1980, required these types of disclosures, again, for consumers, so it would allow for those comparisons. Transactions that are covered: lenders in the business of extending credit, including finance companies and others. Debtor has to be a natural person, again, not a corporation or a business. Okay, finance charge can be imposed, of course, and credits obtained for personal, family, household, or agriculture. And actually, agriculture, commercial agriculture are defined as that. So agriculture in this sense would have to be personal agriculture. If you were borrowing money to raise pigs at home, okay, that would probably be considered a consumer loan. Raise them to slaughter for yourself or whatever. That'd probably be considered a consumer loan. If you're raising them for commercial purposes, then you are in fact a business. So let's stop there, and we'll come back and talk about debt collection in the next portion.